Oh, yeah, Charlie Sheen time. Now looking for a big win against Warner Brothers, the Two and a Half Men star suing the entertainment giant for $100 million in an attempt to recoup his salary and wages for the show's cast and crew. So could this lawsuit actually work? Joining us now, defense attorneys Rachel Self and Tad Nelson. Good to see you both. Rachel, let me start with you. You know, every day, this guy manages to achieve a new level of self-humiliation. So isn't there a plethora of evidence that Charlie Sheen was legitimately and legally terminated for cause?
There absolutely was, Greg. Hi, Greg. Hi, Tad. I don't think that all the warlock powers in the world are going to help him recover $100 million against Warner Brothers in this lawsuit. He's just been acting so crazy, and I think that most of the American public would agree that if you call your boss a contaminated little maggot, a retard zombie, and a turd, you're going to get yourself fired. And that on top of all of the
too.
And then that's the clean stuff, yes. And if you're going to be doing these things and making them public and also be conducting all of the admitted criminal activity, banging seven-gram rocks of cocaine and all of the rest of it, he's setting himself up here to be rightfully terminated from his job.
Now,
and
Tad,
it's really sad.
It is, well, of course it's sad. Tad, if you were representing Sheen, however, wouldn't you argue that, hey, the studio signed this latest contract knowing full well what they were getting? They got what they bargained for. No breach.
Exactly. They got exactly what they bought. This is the car crash that they've had since 2003. His behavior hasn't changed. They've signed off on the drug use. They've signed off on the wife beating. They've signed off on the felonies. They renegotiated his latest contract while a felony was pending in Aspen that looked like he was going to do jail time. And then they said, hey, this contract's still going to be valid even if you get a felony on your record. They don't care about what he does. All they care about is money. And now, all of a sudden, he argues about his boss. He calls his boss some names. Now all this stuff is bad stuff.
Right. You know, Rachel, Charlie Sheen is, and I don't think I'm going out on a limb here, he's such a whack job that he would be the absolute last guy that you would ever want to put in front of a jury. So is this lawsuit with the inflated damages, is this really just a pretext for something else?
I think that it was a brilliant move by his attorney, and what it was, I think, was a proactive rather than reactive approach, because on March 7th, Warner Brothers sent the attorney for Mr. Sheen a letter indicating that they were going to be pursuing breach of contract against him, and pursuant to the terms of his contract, and really all this is, despite all the drama, is a simple contract dispute. You have him breaching the contract, and they're recovering damages, and they're required to actually arbitrate this and not bring it to the courts, and it's going to be in a binding arbitration. So I think this was a proactive rather than reactive approach to set him up for a good settlement here.
You know, Tad, hasn't Sheen's attorney kind of cleverly drafted this lawsuit to state that the breach of contract actually occurred before Sheen's many incoherent and offensive rants? So arguably, none of that is technically relevant and admissible at the time of trial.
Right, and that's an issue here, because everything he does after they send him the letter terminating him, you can make an argument none of that applies here. And that's what's so important in this case, Greg, is when Mr. Sheen got the letter, he was prepared to go to work on February 28th. They were going to do production on the next episode on the 28th. They fired him on the 24th. The bottom line is he was ready to go. He never didn't show up. Despite all his problems, he continued working. They allowed it. They signed off on everything he did. They fired him because they were mad. He was complaining about his boss.
Well, there's only one word to describe the entire situation and Charlie Sheen, and that is sad. You know, it's beyond pathetic. Now it's just sad. And here's a guy who really, really needs help. And the legal aspect of this is just a sideshow. Rachel Self, Tad Nelson, good to see you both. Thanks.
Good to see you. Thank you.